the Town of Acton Planning Board meeting for June 5th, 2025 at 6 p.m. I'll stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't need an alternate tonight, but we have a new alternate, Dr. Brown. Good. Did you guys get a chance to look at the minutes from May 15th?
I did. I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes from May 15th with one slight addition on, at least on page 2. Third line from the bottom, we've got to add a E on the end of scope. It says stop. Yeah. Other than that, look good to me.
I'll second that with the change.
All in favor? No,
I wasn't here.
all opposed? All right, old business, we have none. New business, first up, Tyler Matthews, 706 West Shore Drive, map 125, lot 019, application for Grace Park food stand.
Yeah, so looking to tear down, rebuild, like you said, best practical extent. Right now, my closest point to the water is 18.8 feet. I got the power lines running right in the back side of the house now. The existing septic sits 100 feet back, kind of in my building envelope. Plan on keeping the garage, so proposing to, can't really go anywhere with the 15-foot easement off the power lines, even though it doesn't have it now, to keep it where it's located. The lot coverage is at 40% right now, and I propose to come down to 30%. Do you have pictures, Jack?
Yes, I do. I'm just a little bit away, so. Back to anybody, any of them, feel free, I will do that.
What is that white building? Garage or something?
They're proposing to go from, effectively from 18.8 feet to 25 feet, is that?
Yes, correct.
And on the second of the maps in the back, the painted building envelope, is that for the,
Which one are you looking at?
there's a,
Yes, correct, with the pink, yeah.
what's,
That's 100 off the road, 50, 50 off the road, 100 off the lake. 10 off the sides.
so that's the envelope you could potentially move into if you went behind the CMP line?
That's the conforming, where, yeah.
Total tear down, is that what it is?
That's the plan, yeah.
The plan is total tear down?
Yeah. Basement leaks, so.
Is the proposed house gonna be further from the lake?
Yeah.
So it was 35, what's it gonna be now?
No, proposed structure, sorry, you're gonna. Proposed structures further from the lake.
It's just the nearest corner of the deck, the first page of the,
Right,
get 18.8.
right.
No,
What's the patio in the house there? The house is 35 feet from the water.
Correct.
Okay, and so is the proposed house gonna be further back than that?
No,
No?
no. Closest point right now is 18.8, and I'm proposing 25 feet.
So the deck is closer, but he's moving the house closer.
Well, I don't know, they're both just structures, so I don't have a plan, because,
right, the house is getting closer, but the patio and decks are shrinking back.
not necessarily though, the deck could be all in the front too,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
okay. Mhm.
They're both just structures, so I was just treating it as that.
So that house never used any of the 30%?
No.
It was already bigger, right? It was already 40%, you said, of the lot size?
Lot
Or-
coverage.
that-
Lot
that-
coverage.
Lot, that doesn't matter.
Coverage, yeah. The 30% expansion hasn't been used, and the
Right.
lot coverage is, yeah,
Thank you.
basically because of just the dirt driveway everywhere, it's
Right.
just.
So you are moving the septic?
No.
You're not? Well, you wanna just run down real quick what about the septic here?
It's an attached plan, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Seems like.
I guess what's your question?
It just seems like I'm just trying to figure out, I'm just looking at this, sheet here,
Mm-hmm.
and there's something next to the garage. I'm just curious what, right here. Cause that's not, I mean, this is where it's existing now.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's where it says malfunction.
It says malfunction, did they move the septic at some point historically, is that what they're telling us?
It got revised and they added stone around it, but I just know that's where it is now, so. And this is where my, tank and pump station is.
Right, cause they pump it up to this, now to this field, this is the other field maybe?
Maybe way back before they put this in 03.
Cause it was 97, and then
Then revised
then
in
it
03.
maybe 5 and 6 years later, cause it wasn't working.
Wasn't working well enough, I guess. They added stone.
Yeah. Right, I was reading that, little handwritten note about the septic as well, just trying to piece it together here.
So I might be mixing apples and oranges here, but, max lot coverage is supposed to be 20%, yeah? Right? And then the total proposed is of lot coverage is 30%?
Yep.
Down from 40.
Right, so it was already non-conforming, it could have been non-conforming prior to the zoning, all that stuff.
How are you gonna get that 2,100 square feet?
The driveway. There's just dirt everywhere, so you vegetating a lot of that.
Is that the blue on here?
I think it's the last sheet, I think, that's what I'm, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, green on mine, but yes.
Right, though.
But, I mean, even, I'm gonna,
So John, your sheets, when I printed them out, the printer doesn't pick up the green. That's what ours looks like. Sorry about that. For some reason, the printer doesn't get that shade.
So that's 2,100 square feet.
Doesn't pick it up.
Garage you keeping, you're not tearing that down.
yeah, that's the plan.
Is this part where they park? Is that why that's not being vegetated too?
What's that?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I get down in there, so I mean, if anything's any more vegetated, you know, it'd be more like on the side or whatnot. But that can't be, because it's the septic and then where you come down. You know what I mean?
I did.
Okay.
I did, okay. So you could get a little bit more potentially.
Yeah, and I mean, it's my own place, I'm gonna try and realistically vegetate as much as possible, but, yes. I thought 30 down from 40 was.
It's good, you know,
I know, I just, I know you're gonna ask for more,
So, are you building on top of the existing foundation at all, or is it just completely,
No.
yeah?
so this is your place?
Yeah.
Did you get a deed?
I don't have one, I can pull one up in 2 seconds if you want me to. I didn't even think about it.
Something I was supposed to check. Should always be in the package.
Yeah, it's true.
So if the O'Donnell shows him as the owner name, I can pull his deed into, if you really, I can go on there and it gives you the booking page if you want me to do it.
Tyler, so the last time the septic system was inspected was 2003?
It was, I don't know, updated, I guess is the correct,
Revised. October 15th.
but yeah, whatever that, 03, 05, whatever that date was, you just said.
October 15th.
Yeah.
So it hasn't, that you know, it hasn't been inspected since then.
Hasn't been inspected, no, I just
In
get it cleaned yearly.
22 years, yeah. Right.
We don't go to the bathroom much there though.
Well, it is curiosity, just because it seems like if the septic did need to have work done, that's kind of like the main location of stuff.
Right, but it can't, I get what you're saying, but it
But
can't.
where
really
else
go
would we
anywhere.
put it anyway?
John.
Well, thank God I'm on there.
Alright. I don't have any further questions.
Well, just gotta throw it out there. So, with respect to total tear downs, it's like erecting a new building. You're erecting a new building, you know, and the lot itself, while being non-conforming, you know, and so building on that lot is okay because of everything that was on there. I think we need to look at trying to insist that buildings become as conforming as possible, new buildings. Especially if there is a possibility that it can be conforming, as is displayed in the package itself.
What are you saying, that this can be conforming?
That you're building, like, we can bring the building into, and therefore the lot into closer to conformity than it is currently. The lot is obviously non-conforming in and of itself, which is why it can remain a lot. But, you know, despite the reductions and everything, the building itself, being a new building, still is appears to be pretty far outside conformity to the ordinance. Do you understand what I'm saying, as a new building? As opposed to remodeling an old building on an existing
Oh, I get it.
foundation and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
But I'd be,
that's what I'm talking about. That's kind of my point here.
I'm becoming more conforming though.
You are, but I think we need to insist that new buildings become as conforming as possible. And if there's the possibility that it can be more conforming, I think that's the route, in my opinion, to go.
I don't know if that house can be put in that conforming pink block that is outlined.
Can't.
Part of it's taken up by the shed or garage, and then you get the septic tank right there.
Yep. Yeah, what would have to happen to put it in that block? Like or how much do you, like
Buy
how
the
much
land across the street and put the leach field over there. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's also best practical too. I mean, it shouldn't be,
Yeah, no, I understand.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
So the CMP power line right there, the blue on this map here, is that where it attaches to the house, or that's just a line
No, that's the
running
primary line.
that attaches to the building?
No, primary line, it's the main line.
Okay, so this other line right here
The diagonal one.
is the one that attaches to the house?
From that pole that you see.
Yeah, that's right here.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to work with what Andrew was saying, that, you know, that we've moved the house 15 feet from the line, which is what CMP asked, but existing, it's right next to the line. So, I mean, I don't know if there's any wiggle room there. Other than that, we could potentially change the configuration of the house slightly to pull it back from the lake a little bit more. But it would probably be something like 5 more feet.
Yeah, I didn't even want to give the 7 feet, but I thought coming back some would be beneficial. I mean, it's tight as can be right there.
Didn't we have a question that you sent out for Colin?
Yeah, but I don't think in this case, we're not thinking about moving the line. We're just discussing whether or not the building could be slightly closer to the line, because existing,
Right.
it is closer to the line.
I did send that question out to the state. And whether it pertains to this one, I don't know if it more or less, if it's more, if you have the power lines on the street and then you have one pole in the thing, you can move that one pole. I don't know if they're talking about like the primary lines like this, but the state says that you are to consider pretty much moving poles if need be.
Yeah.
The way that carries the whole length.
How it is with this one, I don't know if that, the individual that I spoke with, he's just always kind of, his answers are wishy-washy. I can even show you. It just pretty much says, yes, the board should consider moving poles for the greatest practical extent. But I think he didn't really get into detail, and I didn't really follow up with a second question. But I'm not sure if it was talking about primary lines, because these ones feed,
The whole
they
road.
go right down
Right.
West
yeah,
Shore
exactly.
Drive, in the middle of these things.
I mean, I feel like it wouldn't be unreasonable to push the house a little bit closer to the line than the proposed one is. And that would give us some distance from the lake. Because we'd still be moving it away from the power line some. Because right now, what you have depicted is 15 feet, correct?
Yeah,
Is it?
This is the answer right there. Well, my question was the bottom one. Well, he actually came in. That was there was a different, it's really this,
It's a kind of different subject.
it definitely makes sense if it's a customer-owned pole running on your property.
Or where it feeds the whole road.
Oh, that's just, you need easements from
I
multiple
want to look
neighbors.
at this.
Yeah, to the line.
Yeah, what is that distance, and maybe we could shrink that, that would be the easiest way to pull the house back. Or potentially reconfiguring it into its stout street.
Yeah, I wanna be 15 feet from it, it's all around safer,
But how far is it now?
15. That's the setback, so.
I mean, it does look about 15 if you look at the,
Yeah.
or in the teens, if you look at the distance of the 25 and the distance there.
What is it existing? How far is it existing?
18.8.
No, from the power line? It
Oh,
looks like
right
the
now,
power
the
line
power line?
is under,
It's right
it's
on.
under.
Goes under his house.
Yeah.
Zero.
But I didn't choose to do that.
Yeah, you can't see it as good on mine, but the lines just run straight over.
Well, in the map, it's pretty much coincides with the corner of the building, so. I mean, I could see gaining 5 feet that way, moving 10 feet from the line instead of under it.
And the garage is staying?
That's the
But
one
it's
that,
15 feet you have to be away from it. You're supposed to be away from it.
Right, but it's not, it's non-conforming now, we're gonna be making it more conforming if we gave it 10 feet. I mean, you know what I mean, when you're dealing with multiple non-conformities,
Right.
I'm trying to think of any way we could move it back.
I appreciate
And
that.
that seems like the simplest thing I've come up with, but I don't know how, I mean,
What are you suggesting, Gavin? I didn't really catch that.
on this one with the red
Yeah.
box and the power line,
Yeah.
the 15 feet between the line, if we did 10 feet to the line. Or that we configured the house slightly so it was more like a little bit of an L instead of a rectangle, just because this inlet right here is really our limiting factor, so if the house was more like a slight L, that would give us more distance from the lake too. There's only two things that
Is that something that we can do though? If CP has a 15-foot easement,
Yeah, barn, yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
that's what.
I don't know that that is something that we can grant. Granted, the house is already there.
Right, I mean,
But
we'd
I
still
don't
be
know
making
that that's
more
something that-
conforming, so,
yeah,
that's all I can come up with, that would work.
I know, I don't like,
No, I don't think the board's gonna do that.
yeah,
No.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I think you kind of have to, when you're doing the various practical stance, you almost have to look at the existing structure and see where that fits, and then,
Yep.
unless they're proposing.
How far are we from this property line right here? Because we could push the whole thing to the north, so to speak, this way, that would get us away from this, and that would create more distance from the lake. The whole camp moved to the north, to the top of the page, so to speak, so because that looks like more than 10 feet from the property line, so we could push it out.
This one?
Yeah, we could move it that way, that would give us more distance from the lake.
like most people, I would like to be centered in my lot and further away from my neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, those are the only things I can see that would work. I think you could, if you pushed it to the north and worked on your house shape slightly, you could probably get a couple more feet from that inlet.
I'd be in favor of seeing a plan with your best plan for put the building inside the envelope there, the conforming envelope. Barring that, if I'm the only one who feels that way, I don't see the need to make any changes to your plan. So, it's up to, if I'm alone in the fair, yeah.
I get where you're coming from, Andrew, but I don't see how that house can go in that envelope. I don't.
Unless
I mean,
you wanted to
we need to
combine it
look
with
at
the
that.
garage.
Yeah.
You know, if he doesn't want to touch the garage.
Also, what is he gonna do with the septic?
Well, we could probably make it fit over here if we combine it with the garage somehow, but.
What do you think, Adam? What do you think?
You aren't gonna come back in 2 years and say, I wanna tear down the garage and rebuild it.
That's not the plan.
I know it's not the plan, but
No,
It's certainly possible, but I don't know where we can.
that's all behind the 100 anyway, though.
Full foundation. Are you doing a full
well,
foundation?
the
Yeah.
point I'm getting is if the garage was gone, then there could be some movement there to try and get that house within the envelope. Because the septic system too, is honestly, I have reservations about the septic system.
Yeah, we're.
Where the septic system has been, looks like it's been patched, if you will. And nothing's been done, you know, it hasn't been inspected or anything. It's 28 years old.
Yeah, maybe we should ask for a septic inspection if it, and if that looks good, then we're good to go. Of course, where would we put the septic, other than put it in the same spot, right?
Did you have what was there before the septic was installed, do you know? Was it like a cesspool or was it an actual septic system before? Do you know?
Before 1997. Do we know when the structure was built? The house itself?
50s or 60s, I think the 60s.
My opinion is it's reasonable without, making the applicant jump through hoops. I get we need to try and push him back, every time, but, to me, this is reasonable, given the lot and where it is.
I like what you were saying about the vegetation on the side though. Maybe we could get a condition about the vegetation on the side of the lot there.
Yeah, I think we could get a little bit more.
Help reduce down below the 30%. Is there a number that would be
29.
amenable to you?
Let's say 25.
I said 29.
I heard
Um,
25.
I mean, I don't, dropping down 10 already was, I knew I should have stuck to 32 and then went to 30. Stupid. I'd really like to stay at 30, to be honest with you, and if I can do more, I will. I know you're just going by my word, but
Well, you even showed to me where you could get some more on that.
I said maybe. I said maybe.
Oh, it does look like it could. We just have to come up with a number.
Right here.
About how we use that.
I'm telling you. There's some dimensions of it.
No.
But that would get below 30%, just that.
Can we call it 28? I'm gonna try it.
'28's an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You all right, Anna?
Yep.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the application for greatest practical extent for Tyler Matthews at map 125, lot 019. With the stipulation, the lot coverage be reduced from the current 40% to 28%.
And that the building be located no closer than,
And the building be located no
Structure.
closer than, the structure no closer than 25 feet. If that was the number.
second?
All in favor? All opposed?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, next up, Emily Cody, 1149 H Road, map 2201002, application for conditional use of daycare. Hello?
So to kind of just give a rundown, I started my career in early childhood. I was at Carl J. Land as a special education technician for about 6 years until I moved on to the housing world. I'm currently an asset manager with Maine State Housing Authority, and after feeling lack of purpose sitting behind a computer screen every day, and the feeling that lack of purpose and pondering what I could do to feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to, would be to work with children again. I originally was going to school for early childhood education, but ended up getting my associates in behavioral health, with hopes that I was going to go into social work, but changed that. So I thought, what better way than to create some self-employment, and I'm going to be a first-time auntie in a few short months. So the thought of being able to care for my niece is really important for me as well. And when I was pondering the idea of a child care center, location was a big one for me, of trying to limit my overhead. And in that, was speaking with my brother who owns Romac Orchards. He has a property, a building on his property. It's a bunkhouse. It's a 32 by 30 size property. It has an existing bathroom, existing kitchen. It's a perfect layout for a child care center. So I am trying to get approval for that so I can move forward with my licensing with the state. Sits as an eyesore right now.
Let me give you a close-up for it. Just gives you that picture right there.
Chris.
No.
I think the simplest way to go would be schedule a site walk, and that would give us time to look over the information, and then we'd get more information at the site walk, and we'd be able to address any concerns at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Right now, we'd be kind of just asking you questions that are probably detailed in your packet, such as where's the playground, and, which, you know, I see is in there. Which if we were on the sidewalk, it would be easier to just visually see it and we would be done. Yeah, I'd be fine with scheduling a sidewalk and
Do you have the playground area like staked out, or could you by now?
Not staked out, it's, the measurements are on, should be in the packet, but yeah, we have, you know, where
Just a couple
he does.
stakes.
Yeah,
Yeah, he could do it, I know he can.
yeah.
Emily, just a quick question.
Yeah.
So, that is under a land trust, correct?
Yeah, I have approval from them, it's,
Okay.
I
So-
forwarded an email.
I did see it says home-based enterprises. I'm just for clarification, so, even though there's no home there, you're not working out of a home or anything like that, they
Right,
still said it was fine.
there's an email from one of the, Carl, he's on board.
And the well, is that an artesian well, is it a dug well?
Artesian.
Drill.
Septic was put in by a professional.
What's that?
I said the septic was put in by a professional.
You better believe it, Mr. Sivany. Guys are having way too much fun.
No, I think a sidewalk is a good, then you can ask questions on site, and then bring it back to the meeting and have more discussion about it. I think that's a good idea. I actually I said I was gonna go look at the building. In the meantime, I haven't had a chance to go over and take a peek at it. But I do know they plan on renovating the whole thing pretty much.
Yeah, full,
Um,
full on.
And they're gonna need to bring it up to town standards, state standards, all that stuff anyway, so. It hasn't been habited, because you got, it was used to be for the workers,
Yes.
that building? Yeah. And nobody's been in there for years?
Well, it was reopened again in, you want to copy it?
Yeah.
It was reopened briefly in 2017 when there were workers that were, that came in to build the Goat Farm, the Goat Hill Trail.
Yeah.
And they asked if we would house them there. They were traveling from up Maine. And so it was open for about 8 weeks in 2017 for them. And they used the facility, and then it was winterized again. It was designed as a bunkhouse for the migrant workers in the orchard originally. And as coincidence will have it, I was working summers for Yetton Excavating, and I would install the septic system in '98 as part of Yetton Excavating. And it was, and the design which we have was for 8 workers as a bunkhouse, and that's how John Large designed it. As such, it's not a home conversion or anything like that. That's how it was put in for the septic design for the 8 migrant workers. It was stopped. It hadn't been used. The Jamaican workers were done in 2012, and that's when Gordon was done with the commercial sales up there. And then it wasn't open at all until 2017, like I said, when we opened it for making the Goat Hill Trail.
Yeah, schedule a sidewalk.
So, like I said earlier, we don't have a meeting on the 19th of June. Our next meeting is the 3rd of July. So anytime in between there and now, I don't know if you guys want to do it before the meeting or if you want to do it anytime from now to the next meeting.
Do we need a public hearing
We will after.
on this afterward,
Yeah,
right?
it's a conditional use
Yep.
application. We'll
Yep.
definitely have a public hearing.
Should we do the sidewalk prior, later this month, and then maybe get the public hearing in on the 3rd,
Yeah.
something like that? Alright,
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad to decide tonight if we don't have another meeting before then. we can-
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So you want me to schedule a public hearing for the 3rd? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
That
Yeah.
is what I would say.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, because I gotta get I just need to
Right.
know, because I gotta get notifications out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
And that'll fast track it.
Cool.
And then sidewalk when, 2 weeks?
One thing I might have you guys verify though, I'm just thinking about it now. If the septic, I know it's for 8-bed bunkhouse, but I don't remember how many students or children you're gonna have.
To start where, I don't know the demand just yet,
Yeah.
so to kind of gauge it, it'll just be me to start. I can have a maximum of 8 kids per the state.
Per
Um,
staff, right?
Yeah, yeah, for staff, so I'll have 8. But, I mean, everything that will come with the septic will come with renovations anyways, because I
If
can't,
it gets larger than 8, then I think the septic may need to be increased at some point. I don't know, and that's something that we might have to address it. I
yeah,
don't know when we want to tackle that one, or if you want to maybe make a phone call to a site evaluator and see what they have to say about it. But if it's children, and if it's 8 children, it's obviously going to be less than 8 adult workers.
right,
So-
yeah, most will be in diapers, and,
Right.
I was planning on doing a septic inspection anyways, because once I get town approval, I have to call the fire marshal's office and do an application with them. And then the state has a million regulations
Sure.
as well, so I was already planning on doing that, but I'm partnering with United Way, who is going to be doing my business loan, and they are going to basically help me with my curriculums and business plans. But until I have my business loan, I didn't want to pay out of pocket
Sure.
for these things, that's why I haven't done it yet. But that'll all come.
Yeah, fire marshal will determine how many people can be in there, period.
Capacity
wise,
Yeah. Cool.
All right, so site walk.
Yeah.
When will you guys, I guess, look at the calendars and think of a decent time?
Just do it on Juneteenth at 6 o'clock.
I'm not working on it.
Oh, you're not working?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole,
Yeah.
They shut down
the
the
town,
hall.
it's a federal holiday.
Right. Well, pick a day then.
Um,
18th,
Maybe the following Thursday.
or the 26th.
Just makes it easier for me to remember if it's done normal.
26th.
Yeah, I'm good with 26.
At what time we doing?
6 o'clock.
6.
want to do it at 6 or earlier?
6 is fine.
Yeah, I mean, if that works for you.
Yeah, that works, that's fine.
So, yeah, we'll see you
Okay,
June 26th at
at
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
awesome.
my office will go ahead and get notices out to abutters for the public hearing to be held on, at 6 PM on July 3rd.
And we are open July 3rd, and that's the day before. the-
Yes, yes.
All right.
I believe so.
So far.
Yeah, no, we are. The only Thursday that we're not open right now is the Juneteenth. I know. Yeah. Subject to change.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
I forgot, guys, I'm sorry, we have a new member.
Oh, no,
I
you-
really do apologize.
I introduced him earlier.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind, I'll be quiet.
Yeah, see, way ahead of you tonight, buddy. All right, next up, Live Free Land Development, Tattle Street, map 252, lot 001, subdivision application.
Everyone,
Hello?
think I've met most of you, but Alex Montero, one of the owners of Live Free. With me is Colton Gold and Shauna Hammett and Mike Sanders, who are the other partners of the LLC. So you may remember the last time that we were before you, we were directed to the zoning board. Essentially, when we had come before the board, originally, we were hoping to do a conventional subdivision using the underlying zoning of 5 acres and 350 feet of frontage, which we could fully meet to get 5 lots. Your zoning reads that if you do more than 3 divisions, you have to use the cluster zoning ordinance. We went to the zoning board to ask for relief from that provision in order to continue on with standard lots with 5-acre lots. We felt like it was a better fit for the area. We're surrounded by a lot of large lots on Tattle Street. We had suggested, after a conversation with this board, putting an easement on the back of the property as an open space area to sort of meet the intent of the zoning ordinance, where we would have 5 larger lots and then have an area that would have an easement area so that there'd still be open space. Since that time, we have subdivided off 1 lot by lot division. So we have 21 acres remaining, and we're proposing, this would be a layout of 4 conventional lots. When we went to the zoning board, the town's attorney instructed them that they could not approve the request for variance. It was not something that was in their jurisdiction to approve, and directed us to come back to this board and go through the cluster map regulations with you all, and possibly a cluster plan. But as you will see in your packet, when we do the map for the cluster, we end up with 0 lots, just the parent parcel, one existing lot. And that is primarily, there's a number of factors. One is they make you take 15% off for roads right off the top of the lot acreage, and our Tattle Street is already there, where we're taking our road frontage from. There's also an existing driveway already on the property, but also because it makes you subtract all of the steep slopes, of which there are plenty on our parcel, but primarily not located in the area that we're going to be developing. So we're back before you, I think, looking for guidance and a path forward. I think it's worth stating that there are a number of structures already on the site. There are 2 trailers, which you can see on the aerial there, that are right up on the water. Those are not put there by us. We inherited the property with those. They are closer than they should be. There's also a cabin, which you can sort of see to the left of that gravel area. And then there's another trailer, which you can't see from the aerial. But so there are 4 total structures on the property now, and we're looking for 4 lots of the 21 acres. The previous owner put that driveway in. There's an existing driveway. You can sort of see it goes all the way to the cabin out there. So what we are trying to do here is put 4 houses on 21 acres of land. We've gone multiple times to this board, now to your zoning board, now we're back here, and we're looking for your input and guidance on how we can.
So during the zoning meeting, it was instructed or noted that the town attorney said that in order for them to get a variance would be pretty much rewriting the zoning. Because where it states cluster, then they were asking for a variance for the cluster subdivision to conform a traditional subdivision. Where it specifically states cluster subdivision in our ordinance, he says that it would be pretty much just rewriting the ordinance, and that's something that the zoning board of appeals couldn't do. That's kind of, right? Pretty much what he was kind of
the
saying.
zoning ordinance says you shall do cluster if you have more than 3 divisions, and we, took that to mean that generally anything in the zoning ordinance is waivable by the zoning board of appeals if you can prove the 5 criteria, but the town's attorney took a different opinion, which is that it is not waivable because it says it shall be done.
So they're here to go back in front of for the cluster subdivision, and then we'll go back to the zoning board of appeals for variances per the cluster subdivision standards. So lot size, correct? Lot size and all some of the standards that are
really it's just the map to determine the number of lots. We can meet all of the other regulations within the cluster, just like we can meet all of the regulations within the overarching zoning. But how you determine your net density per your regulation is to start with, for us, the 21 acres, and then automatically subtract 15% for roadways, regardless of if there are 15% roadways or not. And then, that got us to the 17.9 acres. Then subtract slopes that are greater than 20%, which on our parcel is 7.73 acres. Wetland soils, we just have one tiny little wetland marked on the plan, 0.05 acres. And then we have an existing driveway on our property, which you have to subtract in addition to the 15% you already subtracted for roads, which gets us down to 9.67 of the 21 acres as net developable acre. And then you divide that by the overarching zoning, which is 5 acres, and 9.6 divided by 5 is still just one lot, which is what we have today.
So the total acreage 21 is after you've already broken off that
That's correct.
5 acre lot.
I'd like to see a map that shows the areas, so to speak, the slopes greater than 20%, the wetland soils. If we could get a map that
I
kind
can show you.
of,
Can't
that
compare.
would be great.
So this map here highlights the steep slope. This is the only wetland area here. Obviously, this is the shore of.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
And it's,
that shows the steep slopes.
that's essentially all that's being subtracted. Like I said, there's that one small wetland which is delineated with the wetland markers on your plan.
For some reason, I think you had another map when you first came in, I seem to have misplaced it. Was it in this? Is it in this thing? You have that, because I sort of remember that there was 3 small wetlands, not one,
There is a small wetland on the parcel that we broke off by lot
but.
division.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, deep slope.
So those greens are slopes greater than 20%?
Yeah, and it's worth noting, these are calculated by, the CAD program that the engineer uses. So there are some areas that, this is the existing driveway here. It sort of goes under the house boxes. And all of this area that's, along that driveway is like man-made steep slope. When the person who previously owned it came in and put that driveway in, you can see when we're out there, we'd be happy to do a site walk with you, that those are sort of created slopes because he came in and put a driveway in and there's just slope remaining on one side.
So I have, just looking at my GIS program, the yellow is resource protection for slopes greater than 20%.
Yeah, so these are the calculated slopes based on the topography on the site. And if it's helpful, I can point out some of the features that you can see on that aerial. This box here is the cabin that you can see, maybe. When I say the cabin, do you know what I mean? Yes, right there, perfect,
Yeah.
thank you. So this is that cabin right there. And so obviously, this already exists today. There's, a road, cabin, there's actually a little outhouse out there. And then these are the 2 existing trailers, and there's 1 additional trailer here. So like I said, there's 4 structures on the property today.
So that map right there, you're still presenting us with a typical subdivision?
Yes, because
Yeah.
when I do the math, I get 1 lot. So I'm not gonna go through the cluster design and restrict my lot to end up with 1 lot. I have 1 lot today on the 21 acres. I can't get any additional lots by going through your cluster. So there is no cluster plan. if this board and the zoning board did not allow us to develop this parcel in any way, it would remain as 121 acre lot, and we would, have to figure out a path forward.
Because I almost feel like you should present us with what the cluster would look like, even if it's, doesn't work, because in order for you to go back to the zoning board of appeals, that's what you're gonna need.
What I'm saying is, if we do your cluster map, the yield is one lot.
No, I understand that. I was at the meeting with the zoning board of appeals, and there are some things that they can waive for you.
You can wait, right?
No, we can't waive anything, we can't grant any variances.
No.
But we can review it, we need to get the actual plan for the zoning board of appeals to look at. For instance,
Yeah.
they could help you with the 15% for roads and parking.
What it would look like is essentially this, except this would be its own lot of open space, and these would be individual house lots.
I think that's the plan that we need to be looking at, is the plan of the cluster, even if it doesn't work,
Sure.
because that, then we can,
Is that what this dotted line is on here?
because they're still
Yes.
presenting us with a plan that we're not allowed to deal with.
Yeah, this would be the plan. We would put, we would, in
Well, if
our
it's a
opinion.
cluster subdivision is not allowed in the shoreline zone, so that's one thing, you'd have to set your buildings outside of the shoreline zone. That would be one of the stipulations. So we need to get that.
Cluster subdivisions are not allowed in the shoreline zone.
True. So, yeah, it's in the, land use chart here.
So we can't do conventional and we can't do cluster.
Well, you can do a cluster, it's just the buildings can't be in the shoreline zone. That's, we just need to really get this thing honed down to what you could do, even if it's,
Would this board entertain a site walk? I really think that if
I
you
think
guys
that-
came out on site, it would make a big difference for you to see what the character of the land out there looks like and the existing development that has already been done on site.
I don't think you could really go by the existing development that's out there, because I don't think that what is out there is legal to begin with. Am I correct?
Completely agree with you. I just want you to see what the existing conditions are that we have inherited,
Yep.
which is there is existing infrastructure out there. There are existing steep slopes.
residential structures and uses.
Could you give me the reference that?
Yeah, I'm on page 14, residential structures and uses. E, planned unit development or cluster development, and then as you go across, you can see shoreline. It's not permitted. Also not permitted in resource protection. Which would be tricky if your map with the scattered 20% steep slopes.
Yes, resource protection
Avenues.
is defined as an area of 5 acres or more of sustained 20% slopes. None of these, I can go back to the green map, but all of these little pockets of steep slopes are not 5 acres or more of sustained slopes. So these are what are calculated as steep slopes based on the topography on site. Your resource protection zone has very specific criteria, which is sustained areas of 20% slopes or more. And even, if you look at that, most of that resource protection zone is on the lot that we broke off, but you can see it's not sustained, it's broken there, it's broken in multiple places.
Well, I think that's how we ended up with this yellow depiction here, is because that's the only area where there's 2 acres or greater of 20% or greater slopes. And that a lot of those small ones don't fall into our resource protection district.
Right, so we wouldn't have a problem with keeping them out of the resource protection district.
I don't think so.
because
No,
most of that-
as long as you're out of that yellow.
Yeah,
So you
and
broke-
most of that yellow area is on the lot that we broke off. By the
You
way.
broke off this back piece first? Is that what
That's
you're saying?
Is that on this?
It is not shown. I have a copy of the lot division plan if you guys want to see it, but it's that far.
Well, I think we don't need to see that portion of the lot, we might need to see a deed that tells us that the new lot is as is.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
copy of the recorded plan that's in the registry that
Yep.
shows that lot, so that's what it is.
And I think if you brought us in your cluster subdivision proposal, we would consider, we'd be able to go on a sidewalk at that time,
I'm just,
as far as I can tell.
I'm happy to do that, I'm just a little hesitant because we've gotten a lot of conflicting, all of this stuff takes time and money to design and to put together for you, and we've been pointed in the wrong direction a couple of times here now, and so if that is the direction, I just wanna make sure that that is the actual direction that we need to be going, to be making progress here.
If I recall correctly, are each of these lots, if they take out the idea of the subdivision individually, are these lots, from a conventional standpoint?
Completely conform.
They're completely conforming. Yeah, right, so the thing that's making this a subdivision is that you're trying to split it up within the time, within the restriction of the time frame.
That's right. So if we
That's-
waited 5 more years, we
You're
could
right.
get
You
this.
could do, right, you could do it because each of these individually, each of these lots are,
So you get one
are
lot every 5
conforming.
years.
Right.
And we,
And
I
so,
think we did advise you on that initially too, that
Right.
that may be the way to go.
yeah.
Yeah, to wait 20 years until our kids are grown.
So, like you said, subdivisions are not allowed per the ordinance, right? Within, on this, right? So, but what I'm saying is like, from this standpoint, is like the thing we would be waiving would be the time restriction of breaking.
No, that's
Now-
state law. You can't
Okay.
waive time, you can't waive it.
But by state it's 2, right, instead of just 1?
Yeah, so the state
So
regulation
you're-
is that you
so
can have 3 lots.
Right now,
or-
you've made 2 lots. You have the lot you chipped off, and you have the remaining lot. Now, you have to wait 5 years to do one more lot from here. So, right now, you created 2 new lots, because even though one lot didn't change, it did, it had a property change, so it creates a different 2 lots. So,
Just
right
to
now
be
you
clear
have
though,
2
the
lots.
state regulation is 3. You can
Right.
break off 3 lots by state. Acton's regulation is more restrictive, which says you can only break off 1 lot from your parent parcel.
No, no, it's the same as the state, it's 3 lots. So
There's
now, if
only
you make
2
another
lots.
division now, it's 3 lots, will automatically put you into subdivision.
Right.
And
If
you see, so, right now, you're in conforming. If you break off another lot, in Maine state thing, if you break off another lot, it's the same thing in Acton, you trigger subdivision.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so, Maine, whether it's Maine or Acton, we follow the subdivision law for state of Maine.
So, but, Jason, I think, were you saying that you could waive the lot size of the cluster though?
So what you would do is, when you present the cluster subdivision to the board, you would then go back to the zoning board of appeals and ask to wait for the variance for lots. You could do lot size, the 15%, whatever it is that you're asking for that doesn't allow you to do, the end.
Because, I think just like for a going forward perspective, I know you were there, Gavin, we appreciate you attending, and just, thank you all for being, this is our 4th time, I know you don't want to see us anymore either, but just, so some forward momentum I think would be really helpful. And it seems like you as a board are supportive of what we're trying to do, it's just that your hands are tied, correct me if I'm wrong, by the process and the red tape and bureaucracy, so just be advising us. So what we heard, I think, and Alex is the one who talks to the attorney afterwards, is come here, you guys say, okay, no, you can't, your 5-lot cluster doesn't work, and I think we all agree that it doesn't, based on what
Yes,
Alex
and
has
specifically
presented.
what the attorney instructed us to do was provide the maps on how you get density, bring that to the planning board, have the planning board agree or disagree with your map, and if the map is what you need relief from, the planning board would say, yes, we agree that based on the map that you presented, the parcel size that you have, the steep slopes that you have, you would get 1 lot, which is your parent lot, and then we would go to the zoning board and ask for relief from the way that we calculate density. And then we would come back to the planning board with a design, if we got that relief. The zoning board hopefully will approve that relief and say, yes, we agree, you do not need to take 15% of your land off as roadways because the road is already in and it's not on your land, so you're good to go. Take that off, that gives you 3 lots now, okay? Now you go back to the planning board, and the planning board has jurisdiction to approve or disapprove the plan with 3 lots. So what we're asking tonight, I think, from this board is based on the map that we gave you, do you agree that we applied the map correctly and that we would get only the one parent lot? So that then we can go to the zoning board and say, the planning board agreed, we know how to add and subtract using the calculator, we would only get one lot, and this is the relief that we are willing or not willing to give you. Because then we'll know how many lots we need to design a full subdivision plan for. For us to go design a subdivision plan, a cluster subdivision of 4 lots, is very presumptuous until we get that relief from the zoning board. So what we need from you guys is to say, yes, your map is correct. You can go to the zoning board, and then we will discuss with the zoning board what relief we can get, and come back to this board with a plan based on that relief, showing the number of lots that we're allowed to have.
Well, we could talk about the math a little bit if you want, like for the wetland soils, number 2, you have 0.05 acres. On this map, you have two wetlands, and I feel like it is more than 0.05 acres, but you'd have to kind of have those wetlands surveyed or somehow define the area of those.
Yes, our engineer gave us these numbers, he calculated the steep slopes and the
Between the
wetlands.
two of them, it looks, I mean, I'm just saying, it looks bigger than 0.05 acres. So
It's from a PE.
we'd have to somehow, get some sort of
Right, and if it was bigger,
verification
it would be
on
worse.
that.
If it was bigger, the map would be worse, and we'd still only have one lot.
Oh, I
No,
know.
no, I understand. It needs to be verified. And then also, portions of lot located in resource protection, you do have portions in the resource protection, so it's not NA. Okay? So number 4, portions of the lot located in resource protection zone, that's not NA, because you do have portions of the lot in the resource protection zone, which are the slopes greater than 20%. You don't have to rewrite those numbers, but it's not NA, okay? And then,
Wait, I'm
Portion-
sorry, can you give me some clarification on that? So, I wanna make sure that I understand correctly. The resource protection zone is the area shown in yellow on that GIS map that the town has determined. The steep slopes is anything greater than 20%, which we've already deducted, the 7.73 acres. The resource protection zone is on the lot that we have broken off. There may be a small portion, we will verify, on the 4th lot, but that land area has been broken off.
okay, so, to help clarify, slopes greater than 20%, over 2 acres, are part of the resource protection zone, okay? So, I'm not sure if your 7.73 acres is correct, it might actually be less than that.
95.
If you take this, if you figure out how big the town's delineated resource protection district because of steep slopes is. Because I feel like if you did the math for all those small little areas, your number is too big. Because you're only sustained slopes of 20% or greater in a larger than 2 acre contiguous area, which is pretty sure what's indicated right there. So I think your 7.73 acres might actually be small. So you're gonna wanna look at that, okay? Then, the wetland soils, I really would like to see some sort of verification on that, but it's not gonna change it a lot, I guess, okay? Then portions of the lot located in resource protection district, you don't need to put a number there, but it's not NA. Okay, then number 5, if you have no portion of the lot covered with surface water, you're good. Portion of the lot utilized for stormwater management facilities. Now, most cluster subdivisions, because the houses are clustered together, you are gonna have some sort of stormwater management facilities, catch basins and the like on some point of the lot. And in order to define that, you have to design your cluster subdivision. And then you would be able to come up with a number for your stormwater management facilities. It wouldn't be a huge number, but it would be a number, it wouldn't be NA. And then you would, that's what I can do to help you with the math right now.
Right, I guess I agree with you, but my point being is if the wetland is 0.07 instead of 0.05 acres, we're still getting one lot.
Well, I think you can work with, okay, so to go back through it, slopes greater than 20%, 7.73 acres, I think that number's gonna be small, okay?
So your opinion, and Jason, please tell me if you agree, is that we only need to calc for slopes greater than 20%,
2 acres or more.
we only need to calculate slopes that are.
Yeah, because
greater.
it's on this map right here at the beginning of the zoning ordinance.
Right.
And it's defined, so,
So it's defined under the resource protection. It says land areas of 2 or more contiguous undeveloped acres in the shoreline district with sustained slopes of 20% or greater. And that's why, in this one, the yellow is, I believe it's all within the
sure. Or
Resource protection.
within,
the resource protection, where most of it is.
Right, so this here, again, is the cabin, so, you know, it's gonna take a, you know, as you can see on that, so it's somewhat.
so, if you get us a new number for number 1, give us some confirmation for number 2.
What do you want to see?
I can have the engineer put it right on the pen for you, that way. if I-
Yeah, I mean, I'd like maybe just 1, 2, you written on there the size of the thing, and there's an engineered stamp says this is who surveyed it.
Sure.
But I mean, that, you know, some sort of verification of the size, because these wetlands are too small to be on our map, so,
Yep.
but they still exist.
So he has identified 5 wetlands, okay? And he does,
That's on the parent parcel, before we did the lot division. So the remaining wetland, this is the only wetland here. I'm just gonna write it on that. This is the only wetland remaining on these 4 pieces. There is a small portion of a tail of another wetland here. The remaining wetland areas are on the parcel that we broke off and are not being contemplated.
There's one right,
And there's also this.
there's one right here, right there,
Oh.
and there's one right here,
Yep,
right there.
that's it.
And you add those together, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get more than
This-
0.05.
This one and this one.
but regardless, he says that I recommend you have the flag survey located to
Which we
create
have
an
done,
accurate
that's how we
and
got
current
them on
record.
this
Okay,
plan.
all right.
Yep.
This-
So we get those numbers for number 2. And then you're gonna have to design your cluster subdivision plan in order to get your number 6, portions of the lot utilized for stormwater management facilities. Then we would have all the numbers and the design, and we'd be able to get your new numbers and then, you know, you'd have something for us to work with, and then something for you to bring to the zoning board of appeals, so that they could do their job, so to speak.
I hear you, I'm just unclear how we design the subdivision when we don't know how many lots we're going to get. Like,
I mean, I think you're not gonna get 4, so maybe you should design it with the number you think is most reasonable, because well, reasonable in terms of the numbers. That's what I would do. I mean, I wouldn't waste my time doing 4 if you've really only got enough for 1.
all we have enough is, so
Well-
even 2 is a waste, sort of.
Okay, well, it's totally up to you. That's,
I mean, we can have our
That's
engineer
right.
look at an area that he could reserve, if there were 4 houses on the lot, for what they would need. I mean, I presume it's gonna be primarily stone drip edge on the side of the houses, but we can have him look and identify an area and measure it and put it on the plan.
yeah, often there's kind of the side of the road ditch, and then it flows to something, it's like a catch basin, these sort of things. So, I don't know, I mean, and like I said before, you may wanna wait for 5 years and break off another lot. I mean, those,
We don't wanna do that, so.
okay, all right.
Was this land you inherited?
No, we purchased it. We paid real money for it in order to build a camp for our kids who will be adults by the time we get all these lots approved.
Which,
All
so,
greater than 20%.
yeah, hold on, so barring the numbers themselves, barring the numbers themselves, are there any of these elements that you would be willing to waive once we get good numbers, such as the 15% for roads and parking?
I don't think that's something we can do.
We can't waive any.
We don't-
In terms of the variance itself?
That goes all to back to the ZBA. They're the ones who get granted them the variances.
Okay, based on, because
Based on their,
like the layout of the actual parcel restricts their ability to execute exactly what it is that they're trying to do, so a variance can be granted. Yeah.
It
So-
comes down to that difference between variance and waiver.
And waiver,
Like
right.
we were talking about
Yep.
a couple meetings ago.
Yep.
Great.
So,
Does anybody else on the board have any thoughts for us?
This is just new direction, I guess.
Again,
We spoke to the town's attorney who, right, had said we were just
to
gonna
do exactly what we did.
right, discuss the numbers, the planning board will say, no, you can't get 5 cluster lots, we go to the zoning board, and then we can design from there, was kind of the direction, so again, it's kind of,
alright, I'll play the dummy in the room. So what is it that we could grant them? Exactly.
Right now, nothing.
Nothing, right?
Right now,
So
they're
we can't-
they're
we
stuck in
can't
a
do
landlocked because,
we were
we
hoping-
can't grant them a traditional subdivision, it'd be a major subdivision.
Yep,
Because it's in the critical rule, which only allows cluster subdivisions.
yep,
And yeah, so we physically can't grant them anything. So what we're doing right now would have been, what we are doing is looking at the numbers. And Gavin's asking for different stuff, or different numbers because some of the numbers aren't, jiving because our, resource protection is 2 acres or more, and what they did was delineate every slope that was 20%. Didn't need that. We just needed pretty much what was in yellow, what was left on that property. So your 7.9 acres or whatever, 7.73 acres would probably be more like 2, if that.
Yeah, what the attorney asked us to collect from you guys was basically a straw vote or a letter, or, even if Jason came to the zoning board to say, yes, that's what the planning board said, is based on the math, you could get 1 lot. And if that is true, or 2 lots, or whatever it ended up being, we didn't know at the time. When I was talking to the attorney, I was sort of hoping it was gonna be 2 lots, but we're close, even with this math, it's 9.67 or something. So we gain another ½ acre of land, then we get 2 lots by the formula, okay? So whatever the number is, have the planning board confirm that that's the number, and then go back to the zoning board so they can grant you specific relief, and then you can go into design. That was the plan from the attorney that he gave us, which is go talk to the planning board, show them the map. They say, yep, it looks like 1 lot, or yes, it looks like 3 lots, whatever it is. Go to the zoning board and say, listen, this creates a hardship for us. We don't want it to be 1 lot. These are the reasons why these specific things are a hardship. For example, we're not using 15% of the land as new roads because Tattle Street already exists, and the shared driveway already exists. So we can grant you relief for that specific thing, and then you can go into a full design and go through the review process with the planning board.
copy, okay. So based on their math, one's up 1 lot, right? But we're asking for new math to see if it can be 2 lots?
It would probably be more of two lots, because they're 9.76. They need 10 acres for 2 lots.
And the
if
slope
they
is gonna go down.
And they shrink,
probably 5 acres.
exactly, they shrink the resource protection, which they had put at 7.73. Say they get 5 acres back from that, it would allow them 2 lots.
Right, if we get 5.5 acres back, then
Yeah.
theoretically, although our wetlands maybe are like what?
So, because all they need is a ½ an acre to get 2 lots, which
Presumably we would.
would
Yeah.
definitely happen.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the, green that we included that we didn't need. No, we didn't.
So the board can make it. The board can make a finding saying that they would only get 2 lots
Got to have design.
according to their math.
Yeah.
And we would have done a design if that's what we had been, again, this has been a very long process, and we've been waiting to come back to this board. We would have done a design, even if it was just a sketch plan and didn't, for you all, if we had gotten more than 1 lot, or if that's what we had been instructed to do by your town's attorney. But your town's attorney strictly suggested to us that we come up with this math and come up with a number so that we could get back in front of the zoning board.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You need to do the math in order to, but you need to also present us with a plan for a cluster subdivision. We can't just work with these numbers and go through our process.
We're not asking you to approve a plan, I'm just asking you to approve the density calculation that is required as part of your application.
Right, but you need a plan in order to come up with a density calculation, for instance, because your stormwater management facilities need to be defined.
I think they're looking to draw, Kevin, I think they're looking to draw up a plan once they find out how many lots that we're gonna.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna do, they're not, I understand what you're saying, but they're trying to get in front of the ZBA so that they can ask for relief, so then they can draw up their plan once they have that relief. Because they don't wanna draw up a plan, spend the money to draw up the plan, then have to change the plan again. So they're looking to know how many lots does the board feel that they can create today if they were to have all these subtractions from, you know.
And when you read your ordinance, these items are things that, at least the way I read it, are things that exist today. So if there was a swale or a pond or a catch basin on the lot today, we would have subtracted it from this acreage in order to get our density. None of that exists today, so we did not subtract anything. And that's the way I read your zoning ordinance. It says, take a look at your parcel, subtract these things to get your net residential, acreage, and then that will tell you how many lots you go into the zone. And that's what your attorney also indicated.
Well,
We don't want to be difficult, we would have loved to get.
based on the map that they've given us, and
One,
there's only one lot.
there's one lot. And so,
But we know, again, we know the slope number is wrong.
Yeah, so it's more than
And-
2
and
lots,
it's
right?
pretty significant. Instead of 7, it's gonna be 2.
but either way, you would take this number from us and ask for relief from the zoning board.
That's right,
That's
yeah.
right?
Even if we got 2 lots.
Even if you got
even
2
if-
lots,
even
you
if
would go to
$90
you would go to the zoning board, right? Even
Yes.
if I give you 3 lots, you would ask for relief from the
We're at
zoning
least
board.
gonna try.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's so 1, 2, or 3. So based on their next action is gonna be the same regardless of if we give them 1 to 3 lots. And so
Well, it would be a little different.
All right.
I think their action's gonna be the same because they're gonna go, whatever it is that we
Their
give them,
numbers
they're gonna go
would be
directly to the zoning board to ask for
They're
whatever.
gonna have to start going through the process with us.
After they get relief.
After they get relief, yeah.
I think it was they have, okay, you guys,
Well, I'm just,
we have to start the process, then they go to the zoning board of appeals, then they come back to us. They can't just go on speculation from us without a design or plan. So I think
See, that-
you
that-
should draw up a plan for a 2-acre cluster, I guess.
There's the
Or
rub.
two-
That's
two
what I've been
acre cluster.
sitting here wondering. I mean, it sounds like the lawyer has said they don't have to start the plan with us.
Yeah.
That's just simply not true though, because when we were at the zoning board of appeals, they asked us to went on sidewalk, they asked us for the plan, they wanted to see the plan, they wanted to see the process that was going on that brought them to that point. They wanted more than just this piece of paper.
Just common sense tells me that we should not design a subdivision plan until we know what we are designing. And at this moment, all we are allowed is to have one lot, which is our parent parcel. So until we can have this board and the zoning board give us whatever relief we need to tell us how many lots we are able to design, it is a wasted effort to design a plan.
Yeah, the process can't be initiated until this
Until we know how
until this is known. So we can't, it can't be initiated until this is known. And we can, right, correct me if I'm wrong, right, we cannot grant them any type of relief whatsoever.
so we don't have the ability to
That's
do
right.
variances.
That's right, so the relief has to come from after basically the denial from us.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't deny, we can't
No,
deny.
excuse me,
Not
sorry.
official denial.
Words.
Yeah, no, I know what you were saying,
Words.
but,
Words.
yeah, the second we do a deny, we make a motion and deny it,
Yeah.
then they can't even appeal, it goes right to Superior.
Right, right.
Right,
So
yeah.
we just have a
Yeah, don't
discussion with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we instructed our engineer to do any of the steep slopes, not realizing that it had a different definition to you guys, and so certainly we can take a look at what area on your overlay is shown as resource protection zone, have our engineer put that on the plan, just add that number and come up with a new number before you, but to Andrew's point, if it's 2 lots or 1 lot, we are, going to the zoning board to get relief.
Yeah, and this was a pretty explicit instruction that you received from the town lawyer.
Yeah, and based on knowing the difference, I mean, I feel very confident in my basic math skills that we will at least get 2 lots when we revise the map.
Yeah, I wish he would have given me a synopsis of everything that happened in the conversation. I didn't know anything, other than what you're telling me right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, we tried to get a hold of him for quite some time
Yeah,
and
no,
got held up
I was
for
in that email.
3 or 4 weeks, yeah.
Well, Jason and I had a discussion with Lankowski after the meeting that indicated we needed to start the process, get the plan, get it going, and then we'd say, okay, now this is technically where you're at. Take this to the zoning board, they'll help you with X, Y, and Z. Then you can get a little more acreage, come back to us, and we can vote on the thing.
I mean, I guess I'd be willing to do that with we're not gonna have a full application. I guess what I'm saying is it like the chicken or the egg? Because we can't design a full application and spend tens of thousands of dollars to do that when we don't know how many lots. We can design a 4-lot, cluster
I
subdivision,
wouldn't recommend, no, don't do that.
right, but that's what we want, and that's what we're gonna go ask for relief for, so we could do that, we could go design a
You're not
4-lot
gonna
cluster
get 4
subdivision. You're not the zoning board, and so we are going to go to the zoning board and ask them for relief from the regulations in order to put 4 lots on this piece. And maybe they'll give us 3, or maybe they'll give us 2, but that's what we are going to ask for, because we could put 4 conventional lots on this piece, and it's a 21-acre parcel, and we don't feel that this is a misuse of the land. So the fact that you have already made up your mind on how many lots it can be when we haven't gone through the proper channels is a bit disturbing to me.
I don't know, it's
But
either 1, 2, or
you
3.
just
You're
told
telling
me.
us not to ask for 4.
No, I don't think you can get 4 with this math and just the noodling we did.
Right.
It seems
I guess
unlikely
what
to
I'm saying
get
is,
4.
I don't know what to design. I'd be happy to pay to have a plan designed if I knew how many lots to design for.
I appreciate your passion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do. No, I do. I think just based on all the discussions, right? In order to move forward with the process, you need us to say you can only have 1 lot based on what your math is showing us.
Or 2.
I would say
Two
Or
lots.
2.
They came with 2, with 1,
Okay.
but it's 2.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just go with 2 lots.
All right. And
Let's
so
do
how would
that.
so yeah, like what action needs to does this board would this board need to take in order to say you have 2 lots to work with, go forth and conquer?
What the attorney suggested to us is that it would be a straw poll by the board that everybody agrees that it would be 2 lots under the normal regulation. And then we could go with the meeting minutes or with Jason to the zoning board, excuse me, with that information and have them give us relief if they're willing.
Okay. So straw poll?
Sure, they should
Like
bring
based
the,
on,
bring the numbers into us next time, and we can go from there. We need, these aren't proper numbers.
Gavin, I understand completely what you're saying, but the numbers are just gonna come back with 2 lots. And I know you want something in writing.
Design a plan with 2 lots then, cluster with 2 lots.
If we were to get these numbers from our engineer, is there any avenue for us to get confirmation from this board prior to July 3rd that you agree with the math?
We won't meet again until July 3rd, unfortunately.
Juneteenth, I can't believe it. All right.
No, and I actually looked at the calendar, having a reschedule, and we actually have something going on the 26th for the town.
we wouldn't see, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I was trying to fit another meeting in at some point, but I can't do it.
We wouldn't see you again after this. If you took our straw poll for 2 lots, we would not see you again unless you had a plan
That's
for
correct.
whatever.
we would go
Then
to
you would have
CBA.
your full lot plan, right?
Yeah, we'd go to CBA,
For
then we would not
your
come back to you.
application,
Yeah,
package would be
right.
full
Our
and
deed
complete, your
will be-
deed, all that good stuff.
Notice the butters.
You're right. It's up to you, Mr. Chairman, if you want to take a poll.
Mr. Chairman, we have other business on the agenda. I feel like they should bring the numbers back to us and,
This is our 4th meeting.
well, this is a complicated project and we've done projects where we've had dozens of meetings, so I don't know what to tell you.
Awesome.
If we do a straw poll, I mean, it seems like an attorney's telling the board what to do, misspeaking for the board, like, how does he know what process is really, to me?
Well, he said for them to bring us the numbers.
Right.
So we need to get the accurate numbers, and then we can say yes two, or yes three, or whatever, yes one, and then they can go ahead and design the plan, present it to us, and we can review it, then they can go to the ZBA with it to get relief. So I feel like the next step is getting the accurate numbers. Because I personally, I don't know, maybe they might be able to squeak out 3 somehow, it just, we need to see the accurate numbers.
Would it be appropriate maybe to take the straw polls, and Jason, you're saying you didn't have a chance to talk to Mr. McCaskey after Alex and he connected? So at least it's on the record, so we're not losing like, another
We
4
have no
8 weeks.
application in front of us.
And
to
then,
vote.
you can get with him.
You're not voting on anything yet, I'm sorry. You don't vote on anything right now, you're just having a
That's
discussion.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, we can't really vote on anything until we get an application.
Well, there is an application for sketch plan, I believe, in this, attached to this, right?
Yeah, that was originally.
There's no design for a cluster in front of us.
Are there,
Well, if you look at the definition of sketch plan, it could be a drawing on a napkin.
But it has to be a
Okay.
drawing of a
No,
cluster.
Gavin, I understand where you're going with this, and I'm
Yeah, I
not
think we're-
disagreeing with what you're saying, but I feel that these people have been through some, and I think that nothing's gonna change if they hear 2 lots or 1 lot, they're still gonna go to the ZBA. They're gonna come back with a design. I think we're just adding more time
Yes.
to this process that it's gonna come back to the same way. And that's my personal opinion. I just,
What
I'm
if we-
not saying you're wrong by any means. I'm just wondering if we have to wait that much time just for them to come back and say, okay, we can, instead of 9.67 acres, we'll have 14.45 or, even if they had 15. I don't know. I don't know how many acres it is, but, they're either gonna get 2 or 3 lots out of changing it. And then they're still gonna come back, they're gonna go to ZBA, they're still gonna try to ask for their, variances. And they're either gonna get granted or they're not. And then they're gonna come back to the board with whatever they get approved or denied from the ZBA for a subdivision plan. Then you're still gonna see that plan at that point. So I'm just saying, if we wait till July 3rd to have them come back to tell us that they have 4 or 5 more acres, I'm just trying to think of what's best for time management. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I know what you're gonna say, but I'm just trying to.
I'm very sympathetic to what you're saying, Jason, and to the time frame. I mean, I don't know, we've told you how we think the numbers are wrong. Can you go correct those numbers and then go to the CBA? Based on us saying what we think you need to do because some of these numbers are not wrong or not estimated for the stormwater, and take that to the ZBA. We won't have seen them. We will have told them that this isn't right and how to fix it.
You probably wanna work with your surveyor too, just to kind of get their stamp of approval on like in terms of like their initial or their sign off on the numbers themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like this is, this guy does this for a living, for this stuff.
It is really up to the board, though. I was just saying, giving my 2 cents. It is the board's decision, not mine. And so.
can I ask a clarifying question on the map? The portions of the lot subject to rights of way, there's an existing shared driveway on the lot. I wasn't clear, it's not a right of way at this time, but it would, in the future, if it's utilized as a shared driveway, would be a right of way. Do we need to subtract that?
Yeah, you'd subtract that unless you were gonna revegetate.
If
You're gonna
it's
get rid of
be
it,
in
you're
your plan,
revegetating.
if it's part of the plan, yes.
Okay.
Send them back to the zoning board. New numbers.
I don't think the zoning board's gonna do anything because we haven't agreed yea or nay to the numbers that they submit. So the zoning board's just gonna turn around and send it back.
Is the sidewalk that you're doing a public hearing? Could you review our numbers at your sidewalk?
Sidewalks are, no, it's not, yeah, it's a quorum, but it's not a meeting, and we don't make any, they're not allowed to make any decisions of any sort on a sidewalk. It's really more for just for informational, just kind of walking through something and asking questions.
I was just trying to
So
get
it's
a
not an
position.
official, it's not a meeting of that sort, yeah.
Could we do a meeting next Thursday? Do we have time to do that?
That's a good question.
I mean, yeah, there's
And
nothing.
would they have time to provide what we need by next Thursday?
Yeah, our engineer will give us these numbers tomorrow. I'm breathing.
I don't know how that process works with rescheduling a meeting, if there has to be so much time. I'm not opposed to it. I can email the board tomorrow when I get clarifying information, if we can actually hold a meeting next Thursday. I'm not opposed to it. I'm here anyway. So if you guys want, I can reach out to the board members tomorrow and as well as yourself and see if we can reschedule the Juneteenth meeting for tomorrow, for next Thursday. That way, you know, we can come up with an agreeing number, I guess. I just don't know, I'm gonna have to get clarification if I can even do that. I know the hall's empty, and I don't think it'll be a problem, but I don't know if there's a time frame I have to abide by. So it's gonna be, I gotta find that answer for you guys.
If that was a time frame problem, we could, well, we'd have to reschedule the sidewalk with the other people. Or we could meet after the sidewalk, just to look at the numbers on the 26th.
They're having an event here on the 26th.
Shoot for the 12th.
We appreciate it, yeah, and let us know, we'd be happy to come down sometime. Thank you. Okay,
All right, well, I'll be in touch tomorrow.
thank you.
Other than that, nothing's new coming, other than them coming back in.
I wanted to at least mention the stuff that Julie Janelle brought in about the mineral extraction for the rest of the board.
She'll be back next meeting. She couldn't come this time, so we're not gonna do that until she gets here.
She asked us to present it to the rest of the
We're
board.
not doing it without her.
Did you give them this physical paper?
No.
Oh, you don't wanna do that?
What physical paper are you talking about?
These two sheets right here that Julie gave everyone on the board.
So they should have it.
Exactly, and then she was just gonna
I didn't
ask
get
us
any of
to discuss it, because she didn't give us actual verbiage.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's coming back for the,
Alright,
she couldn't make it for this meeting. She specifically said, I can't make it for this meeting, I'll be back the next meeting, the following
She
meeting.
specifically asked that we present it to the rest of the board.
Oh, wait.
It's,
It was just,
so Gavin, it is her job to present it, not the board's job.
okay,
So this is,
That's fine.
I outlined this before this. There's 4 ways that somebody can make an amendment.
okay, no, that's fine, Jason, that's how you wanna do it, I'm not gonna.
No, she's the one who's presenting, that's all I'm trying to say. She's coming back next meeting.
It was just so that they would have a heads up of what she was talking about. I think
Is that something we got in an email or?
No, it's what we talked about, remember that lady was here, she
Yeah,
was
I
talking about.
understand that, but he has
Open the paperwork.
paperwork.
that.
I don't have anything to give you guys. I don't know, Gavin's got something.
It's the email that they printed out for me, because I don't have email.
Which everybody should, I think everybody got.
Yeah, we all got the email.
Yeah. That's,
Oh, so, yeah, I didn't get it printed.
yeah, no, it wasn't in the email.
That was
Everybody
the
see
safe
it.
office, but-
I did not print that.
We all agreed that we tell you about what she.
I saw the.
Oh, cool, but not everyone did, so.
Yeah.
But we don't need to. Very good.
I feel like they kind of put the cart before the horse, and that's why I asked if this land was bought or if this was something they inherited.
No, they bought it, and
I kind of feel like we're jumping through hoops because they did not do their due diligence before they bought the property and finding out if this was even going to work.
yeah.
I mean, at what point do we,
Well, what happened was the whole, right from the beginning, they were told from the planner to go to the ZBA, and then the planner, or the attorney disagreed with what the planner said. And said that you can't do that. So now they're trying to figure, they're backpedaling.
but I guess right from the get-go, I mean, the lots that they were doing, that where they wanna put the houses and everything, you know, you can't have them within resource protection and so on and so forth. I mean, everything was against them right from the get-go. And it's like, did they do their homework before they bought this piece of property?
Obviously
But
not.
because they bought this piece of property, it is now our problem to try and make this fit for their kids,
Right.
okay? And at what point do we, you know, I mean, there's gotta be a limit here.
Well, the biggest limit is that needs to be thought of, once again, once we get a package, like an application to consider, is the fact that a subdivision is not allowed, right? In the shoreline zone,
Right.
and that's gonna be.
Cluster subdivision.
Excuse me, cluster subdivision. The cluster subdivision is not allowed,
Right.
and that, I mean, that'll be like our discussion, you know, like, what are the limiting factors on this?
But-
Are there any?
But they're gonna go with
They would have to.
ZBA and get an appeal on that.
Yeah.
They, I don't think they can get an appeal on that. I don't know. You know, you guys, well, I'll let everybody know when the ZBA meeting is, so we can all attend if they want, you guys want to. That way we're up to speed on what's going on.
Yeah, I think kind of the way Lankowski presented it is that they can get a variance on sort of like
Standards.
dimensional
Yeah.
standards,
Yeah,
not regulations.
Right,
Not
yeah,
regs.
and that's, and what they were trying to do was rewrite, what he's saying, was they're trying to rewrite the ordinance by doing a traditional subdivision instead of a cluster subdivision. Because where the ordinance specifically spells out cluster, they have to present it to the board as a cluster subdivision. And then when they find out that what they can or they can't do, then they go back to the ZBA with the numbers that have been agreed upon and saying, I need relief for this so that I can possibly do this. And they get approved as a hardship of some sort, you know, this, which it's gonna be, I think it's all gonna be very difficult.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's the only part I don't.
Honestly, I thought that if they were keeping all the lots for themselves, they should have given one to each kid, they'd be away with it, but I guess they need the money to.
I just think they're trying to sell off the lots. Because if it was just breaking down lots for, it would, you can get lots and it's exempt, but that's not the case here, because if it was the case, that's what they would have done.
Yeah, I thought they said that this was, I thought those, all those lots were their kids.
No, 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 they wanted to build a camp so that their kids, you know, they wanna sell it to
It was
everything.
all unnecessary.
Why- why would they- Why would,
Yeah.
why would the town lawyers say that we did this job all?
I-
Time to read that.
I don't know, you wanna go, you can shut that off. You guys ready to, shut it down?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor?